Welcome back to another Columbus, Ohio monthly market update for the Columbus, Ohio real estate market. I'm Ryan Deeter with Realty, and today we're going to do a deep dive into the September numbers that the Columbus Board of Realtors produces for us as we're sitting here in October. Now we have the numbers for September, and what we're actually seeing is some pretty normal trends for the fall market. Last month, I actually did not do a market update, if you noticed, so we're going to kind of talk about the last few months. But we saw a little actually uptick in the market last month, so a little bit abnormal activity last month, and then we're starting to see more normalization for the fall market this month. So let's dive into the numbers, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, as you can see here, we have the September 2023 numbers pulled up from the Columbus Board of Realtors that they provide for us. Again, this is just a snapshot of the general area of Columbus. If you want to know more about your area, what's going on, they do break it down by school district and counties and sometimes zip codes as well. So check it out if you're interested. But let's dive into it. As we've been tracking all year, this number here, the closed sales and then contract sales are down 14%, 8% in contracts, and the closed sales are down 14%. Now, on the surface, again, that doesn't mean a whole lot to consumers. If you're looking to buy or sell, you're like, so what? It does, obviously hurt the industry if there's people in the industry that less home sales, less transactions happening, less money's flowing to the people in the industry. So we're seeing a pinch there. We're seeing a lot of realtors actually leave the market, and lenders as well, and other people in the industry. But at the same time, the way this does affect consumers, meaning that since there's less closed sales, it's mainly because there's not enough houses on the market. Not, if this wouldn't matter if we're starting to see new listings on the rise as well, but we're actually seeing less new listings as well. So less homes are being sold because there's less homes available to sell. So there's a lot of buyers out there still looking for homes. They can't find them or get in a competitive situation still, and they're missing out. And so there's just not enough houses in the market as we're seeing for the amount of buyers. It's simple supply and demand, keeping prices, afloat, keeping prices on the rise. Now they're a little bit more modest than they have been in the last few years. In fact, let's dive back into July of 23. I got September of 2022. That's what I want. You can see last year it was almost 10% appreciation gain, and now we're seeing 5%. So we're seeing the rate of acceleration, rate of appreciation change year over year. And in fact, back in 2020, we saw almost 15%. So 5% is very modest. In fact, that's a very average appreciation throughout the history of the housing market. So we're seeing average appreciation now versus very quick and extreme appreciation, what I would say during the 2019 to 2021 window there. So that's the good news for buyers, that prices aren't accelerating so fast. Now, obviously, we've probably have heard that interest rates are the big factor right now for buyers, causing prices, or at least causing payments to rise very quickly in the last year. And we'll get to that in a second. But I want to just, kind of look at these numbers a little closer before we get there. Something else, I always look at is the average. First of all, I look at the price, average price, median price, and average price per square foot, kind of holistically looking at all three of those numbers to see where the market's going. We're still seeing gains on all three of those, and around the same number. The median price is a little higher, gain than the rest. That means that things are, trending the same direction. So pretty safe to say that prices are continuing to rise year over year, and year to date, we're still seeing price increases as well. Now, something else I look at is, okay, year over year means that we're seeing appreciation year over year, of course, but I'm looking at monthly trends as well. I want to know what the monthly trends are doing. Are we seeing price growth from one month to the next? If we look back in August, we'll actually see this number is average sale price is 367 in August of 23. And this year so now in September of 23, we're seeing 348. So we did see a decrease month over month. And this is what I kind of would advise a lot of buyers to consider, that this time of year, you're starting to see some trends happening where prices month over month do come down a little bit. And there's a little bit of an opportunity for buyers in the fall and winter to find a house for less than you would have in the summer, and less that you're going to find the next summer, most likely. So you can see this trend here. I like to show this trend because it's a good illustration of what happens every year in Columbus. There is a yearly trend. And you see the yearly trend is, if this is January, this is June, that January to June is the fastest appreciation throughout the year. We see spikes, we see flatline in summers, we see dips in the fall and winter, spike, flatline, up again. So you see this is a yearly cycle that we see. Now, the last 2 years, in 21 to 22, we saw that extreme, especially in 22, we saw that extreme uptick. And that was mainly for one, we saw it more extreme for the reason of interest rates. Interest rates started this year around 3%. They spiked up to about 7%. And that caused people to try to buy. And the Federal Reserve basically said every month that they're going to continue to raise. So it hit 3, hit 4, 5. People said, we got to buy before it gets even higher. And we saw a lot of people buy and buy, make crazy offers in this time. So we saw this prices just spike for that reason. And then it hit 7, flatlined, and then came back down to what I would call the correction. I think we've already seen the market correction for the interest rates happen. Now, we may see that again a little bit, but we're going to think about that. So let me just actually show you what happened in the rates here. You can see January of 21 to 22, we were in the 3s. This is from Mortgage News Daily. If you're interested in following this, if you're looking to buy a house and you're going to take a mortgage on it, I highly recommend downloading this app or looking at this page, because it shows you, it surveys a ton of lenders and banks and says, where's their average rate at for the 30-year fixed, 15 and all that stuff. And it tracks it for you. So it's a nice little tool to give you an idea of where things are if you have an average buyer. So you can see here in January of 22, we're in the 3s. And then within a very short period of time, we spiked up all the way up to the 7s. And that caused that panic buy. And there was the correction when it stayed up in the 6s and 7s. Now, this last year, though, we're starting to see some normalization, at least a slower increase, much slower, from 7 to 8 in 1 year versus 3 to 7. So a much slower increase, but still seeing increases, causing prices to go up. And as long as the interest rates go up and prices go up, it unfortunately is going to keep some of the buyers out of the market. And real estate is all about supply and demand, is really it. But people don't move based on just the financials. They move based on life situations. They move because they have a life need, or have a need or a want to buy a house. And the interest rates or the amount of money people have, just allows them to do that. So this is where, some buyers are going to be priced out of the market because of the high interest rates and the increase in pricing. And so it is supply and demand, but we're still seeing plenty of buyers in this market. We're still seeing the market increase, and the number of homes that hit the market are still selling within the first few days. And in fact, we're seeing most homes get over list price still. So we're still seeing bidding wars. We're still seeing the houses that are priced appropriately. And what I mean priced based on paper that seems fair to buyers are getting multiple offers. And, so we're still seeing several buyers per house. And until we start seeing one buyer per one house on average, then we're going to start seeing prices start flatlining and even maybe coming down. Potentially, we're going to see a neutral market. And until that's the case, it's still a very much seller's market. So if you're interested in getting in the market, if you're interested in selling, it's still a seller's market. It's still a good time to sell. If you're looking to buy, there's an opportunity in the fall right now to buy a house for less than you would have last summer and less than you're going to the next summer. So there's a little window here that I think is potentially your best opportunity to buy a house in the next year. With that said, there's still it's still a seller's market. So don't expect to get a fire sale or something on discount by any means. And you've got to navigate the interest rates. And part of it is that, if you were looking 2 years ago to buy a house and you got qualified for what you can buy, there is a little bit of a sticker shock we saw in the last year. But newer buyers that are entering the market right now aren't having that sticker shock because they weren't looking 2 years ago. They're looking now, and the 7 to 8% interest rate is the norm that they're coming into. And so they're used, they're just, it's not a sticker shock by any means. Now, whether they can do it or not is another question, and whether affordability is an issue here in Columbus is for another conversation. But people are still making the decisions to buy houses, and we're seeing, houses that are priced well and in good condition sell really quick with multiple offers. So we are seeing a little inventory uptick. So we are seeing people, a little bit more houses stay on the market and not sell, whether that's, because pricing, and this is something as prices and payments get higher, it makes it harder for people to buy houses that need more repairs. So maybe houses that need more repairs aren't selling, that are priced high, prices that have maybe just a lot of cosmetic issues that aren't necessarily in the investor windows, price points that are sitting on the market a lot longer. And so people still need to consider, the timing of the house and the condition of the house still matter when it comes to getting your house sold. So hopefully this is helpful. We're seeing kind of the normal fall market happen. And I thought actually last month, I mentioned in the intro that I was going to talk about the month before, because I was unable to make one last month, but we saw a little abnormal blip in the market trends in last month. So last month we saw August average price hit 367. And that actually was more than what we saw in July, which normally we see a flat line in July as June kind of as the peak, and July kind of start trend down. And we saw August actually tick up a little bit. So I was curious about what was going to happen this month to see if we continue that uptick, to see if we have a little bit of a strange fall and have people still, spending more and the market continue to go up and to the right throughout the year. And we're seeing the more normalization happen in the fall. So, and here's what happens every summer, every year. Sellers see this line up and to the right, and they think it's going to go on forever. They think this line is going to continue to go up at the rate it's going up. And so they price their house, if you can follow my mouse little thing there, they price their house way up here. But buyers hopefully have an agent that are talking about this opportunity that, prices should stable, they should flatline, they should even come down a little bit. So buyers are thinking that prices shouldn't continue to go up in the summer and fall. And a lot of times there's a disconnect between listings and what buyers expect to pay. And rightly so. And so houses sit on the market a little bit longer this time of year. And sometimes you can actually find a way to negotiate. And if you're not wanting to do, in the spring, often there's bidding wars, there's appraisal gaps. Since the last 3 years in Columbus, we've had most offers accepted on a new house listing. And in Columbus, you've had to come in with appraisal gap language and say that you would forego or cover some of the gap if the appraisal came in low. Sometimes you have to, make it as is, where you're not going to ask for remedies. And that's often when things get competitive in the spring, often what happens. But when you see a house that has sat on the market for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, you can start to negotiate a little bit more, negotiate the price down, and maybe not have to give other contingencies up as you would in the spring. So there's opportunity here. If you're not like someone who doesn't like the speed of the spring market, the fall market may be more comfortable for you. You're still not going to get stuff at a steep discount, but you may get it less than what you paid for in the spring. So just some tips for you if you're looking to buy this market and potentially, save a little bit of money and not get quite as aggressive on your offer. So anyways, again, I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty. If you have any questions or want to know any more about your property or your goal of buying a house, I'm always happy to talk to you and talk strategy of how to make that happen for you. Hope to see you next month, and I will talk to you soon.